The rumors were true and it's now official. The American Express Gold Card has been revamped with a new annual fee of $325 along with a bunch of new credits. So in this video, we'll go through what those credits are, what's new with the card, what's changed, and if it's still worth getting it. To kick it off, there is a 60,000 point sign-up bonus available right now through the American Express website after you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months. Now 60,000 is decent, but I have seen 100,000 points being offered as well, whether you get the right link or if you get a targeted offer. So definitely I would wait around for that 100,000 points, because if you're just getting the 60,000 for a $325 card, it is on the low end and in my opinion not worth it. And if you are able to get the 100,000 sign up bonus at 2 cents per point, that's a value of over $2,000, which is amazing for your first year. So on top of the welcome bonus and the new annual fee, there is a new color. So it now comes in white gold, which you can see here. It's kind of hard to tell. Here, let me try that. There we go. A little hard to tell really the color, especially when you compare it to the gold card. It almost feels like, yeah, you can kind of get a sense there. But in my opinion, I really like the gold better than the white gold. Just still, the rose gold option is still also available, and even if you do have the gold currently and you just want to switch colors, that's pretty easy to do. You can go onto their website and just request a new card and request the new color, and it's pretty straightforward. Do that quickly though, because apparently the white gold is limited edition, so I don't know how long it's going to be available for, so definitely do that sooner than later. Now the most important for a travel rewards card is the multipliers and the categories that it's available on, so let's dig into that. So we've got the 4x on restaurants worldwide. Now this has changed because before it was unlimited, but now it's capped to $50,000 in spend annually. Not the biggest concern because most people won't get to pass that 50,000. The few people who might is like, let's say if you use it for work and you're able to expense items, most people will pay with their personal credit card and then get reimbursed. So that's a great way to collect a lot of points really quickly without having to actually spend your own money. You get 4x on groceries within the US, so this is the same, nothing's changed here. You also get 3x on flights booked directly with the airline or through American Express Travel, so again, no changes here. There is a new category for hotels booked through American Express Travel, and that is at 2x, but not that big of a deal because there's so many other cards that are better for booking hotels. So that's the point multiplier, no major changes, which is kind of disappointing given that they did increase the fee. I was hoping there would be more opportunities to get points, but unfortunately that was not the case. So let's take a look at the next biggest change, which is in the credits that you get through the gold card. And American Express is really trying to emphasize this because even if you go onto their website, they have like this massive section of how you get over $400 of value with this card just through credits, which would essentially make the card free. But let's take a look at what those credits are and see if if you can actually get the full value. Because with these credits, it's most important to see how they line up with your spending. So let's say you're getting credits on like certain restaurants or certain websites, but let's say you don't spend with them. Now you're basically increasing your overall spending to take advantage of these credits. But what if that overall causes you to spend more, which is what American Express obviously wants because then they get paid more. But from a personal finance perspective, that's something to definitely be aware of. And that's why you need to be really critical of what these new credits are. So let's dig into it and then I'll share if I think I would get the full $400 in value from them. So the first one, which is new, is a $100 Resi credit. So the way it works is it's $50 semi-annually, which is very similar to what the Platinum card has with their Saks Fifth Avenue credit. Now, I really like this credit because there are a bunch of restaurants in Seattle, some of my favorite restaurants in Seattle, that actually use Resi, so I would easily be able to take advantage of the $100 throughout the year. Next, we've got the $120 Uber Cash, which is very similar to what there was before, which is essentially $10 per month in Uber credits. Now this you do have to use every month or it goes away. It's not like you can collect 5 months worth and now all of a sudden it is 50. So Uber credits, this is something that I would use. I'm often with Uber either for pickup or delivery, using them almost once a month. So this is something that I would use. So I would count the full $120 of value here. Next is a really random one, is $84 in Dunkin' credits. So if you're a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts, you now get $85 for the year to spend at them, which is the equivalent of $7 per month. So similar with the Uber credits, they don't carry over, so you do have to use them within that month. Unfortunately, this is not something I would use. We do not have Dunkin' Donuts here in Seattle, unfortunately. And I also prefer going to other like local coffee shops, so I don't see myself going to Dunkin'. I probably wouldn't even go once a month. Like for comparison, so Starbucks started in Seattle, and yet I think I can count on my hands how many, like in two hands, how many times I've been to a Starbucks, because I'm always going to local coffee shops instead, which I find just more interesting, and I like supporting local. Also, another thing with the Dunkin' credit is you do have to enroll in it. It's not automatic, so make sure if you are taking advantage of it to like go into that section where you have all your credits, and you can make sure that you are enrolled into it. So those are the three main ones that are the most important. You've got Resi, which I would use. You've got Uber credits, which I would use as well. And then you've got Dunkin', which I unfortunately would not. So between Resi and Uber, that's about $220 in value for the year, which isn't bad. And really helps to cover the bulk of the $325 annual fee on the Gold card. All right, there are a few more credits, which is pretty awesome. So the next one is a $120 dining credit, which is similar to the Dunkin' one, which you do have to use monthly. So it's $10 per month, but it's at participating restaurants. And the list of restaurants that they have is just interesting. Like, how do they come up with this list? Let me show you what it is. So we've got, what do we have? We've got Cheesecake Factory, Gold Belly, Wine.com, Five Guys, and then there's also Grubhub. Grubhub's kind of interesting because it's kind of like Uber Eats, but I personally prefer to just have one food delivery, and I'll just use that. I know there's like 3 or 4 different options, but I just always just go to Uber. It's the one that I'm most used to. It's like Google Maps, you know, if you've got Google Maps, you generally will use that all the time. You're not gonna use that for certain occasions and then use Apple Maps for something else. So it's like same situation here. So that $120 dining credit, I probably would not use that. Okay, so that's all the changes on the Gold card. We've got the new annual fee, we've got different dining restaurant options, and we've got the new white gold color. Now before, this card was a no-brainer. It was my favorite card. It was the one that I would recommend the most. The annual fee was decent. The multipliers were amazing. 4x on groceries and restaurants is incredible. But now with the new annual fee and these new credits, I just don't see how it justifies the higher annual fee. And I feel like this card now is like in that zone where it's either worth it for you or it's not. There's like no in between. So it's worth it for you if you're able to take advantage of all those credits like Grubhub, like Five Guys, like Dunkin'. If you can take advantage of those, which I feel like are the hardest to use, then this card becomes a no-brainer, and you can probably get over $350 worth of value from that alone, which offsets the annual fee and makes it a free card essentially. But if you don't take advantage of those, and especially if you use them less and less, then that $325 is steep. Like, that's an expensive card. Is it still worth it for the 4x on groceries and restaurants? I'll say yes, but I'd say like you need to take advantage of at least a minimum of like 2 of those credits. Like you need to be able to cover at least $200 to $250 in credits to justify the annual fee, because the 4x on restaurants and groceries alone at this point for $325 is not worth it. Another point that I forgot to mention is that if you have this card currently and your renewal is coming before October of 2024, you're gonna get renewed at the original $250 price point and not the new one. So that's, I think, a nice bonus, because you get 1 more year of all those extra credits, but you don't have to pay that new annual fee for, which is kind of nice. How if I would me in that case, I'm going to keep the card for at least a year before reevaluating. And then once it goes to 325, then I'll have to decide if it's still worth keeping. Overall, honestly, I'm a little disappointed. The Gold card was my favorite, and unfortunately it might be time to replace it. Let me know in the comments below what your plans are, if you have the Gold card currently, or if you're thinking that you would apply for it. Let me know what you think, and in the meantime, check out one of these videos next.